now that we've finished all of our prep, we're ready to move on to making the sushi roll. So we have the toasted seaweed here. You'll notice that there's a rough side and a smooth side. You're always going to be placing the rice on the rough side. So to make a basic California roll, I'm going to first kind of moisten my hands to create that separation from the sticky rice to my skin. And I'm going to grab the amount of rice that would be about the same shape and size of a pool ball. So after I have my pool ball shaped rice, I'm going to place it directly in the center of the toasted seaweed. Now I'm going to spread the rice across from the seaweed from one end to the other, and I'm going to kind of create a hot dog shape with the rice. Once I've spread the rice, I'm actually going to divide this rice into two halves. Again, just using my fingertips, I'm going to gently press right in the center where I just placed the rice. This will divide it from the top to the bottom. From here, I'm going to use my fingertips, primarily my thumbs, to push the top portion of the rice to the top portion of the seaweed. And again, I'm going to go from left to right. So I'm just going to gently press and push the rice away from my body, right to the top part of the seaweed there. And whatever I do to one side, I want to make sure I do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to flip this around, and again, I'm just going to gently press with my fingertips, pushing the rice away from my body. So now I've successfully put the rice onto the seaweed, and I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of the toasted sesame seeds right on top of the rice. Okay, and since a California roll does have the rice on the outside, I'm going to be placing all the ingredients on the side of the seaweed. So I'm going to flip this over, and I always start with the vegetables first and then put the meat on top very last. I'm going to start with the Julienne cucumbers. And as you can see, I'm not directly placing the ingredients right in the middle of the seaweed. I'm placing them a little below the center part of the seaweed. Next, I'm going to do the avocado. I'm just going to take a regular butter knife here, and I'm just going to cut into the avocado, and that wedge of avocado should come right out. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to put the meat right on top of the vegetables. In this case, it's the crab stick that we got from Central Market. And you don't want to put too much ingredients in the sushi roll, otherwise the sushi roll will break open on you. So since this crab stick is fairly large, I'm just going to simply break it apart, kind of split it into two halves here. And again, I'm just kind of putting that on top of the vegetables, and that's going to kind of hold it all together. Now from this point, I'm going to line up the bottom edge of the seaweed about an inch above the bottom edge of the bamboo mat. So as you can see, I have about a good inch right here from the bottom of the bamboo mat to the bottom of the seaweed. I'm going to use my thumbs to lift up on the bottom edge of the bamboo mat, and I'm going to use the rest of my fingertips to kind of hold the ingredients in place. So when I lift up, I'm going to press and hold the ingredients. Now the bamboo mat is going to come up and over all the ingredients that I have in there. So once it completely covers the ingredients, I'm going to gently press with my fingertips to kind of mold it and hold it all together into one spot. So if you're new to sushi, or if this is your first time making sushi rolls, I would recommend just kind of lifting up the bamboo mat and just making sure that you're on target so that when you do make that rotation, that you will get a complete seal with the rice to the seaweed. And as you can see, I'm right on target. When I make that rotation, it's going to create a spiral effect and it will hold all those ingredients in place. So again, I'm just going to kind of tuck it and gently press it. Now from here, I always want to have the bamboo mat above the sushi roll. I never want to have it tucked underneath as I'm rolling the sushi. So again, always having the bamboo mat on top, I'm going to use my fingertips and the bamboo mat to kind of guide the sushi roll so I can make that rotation. And from here, I can just kind of keep pulling on the bamboo mat, and it'll kind of spin the sushi roll around a few times, which will give you a really nice shape. So from here, I'm going to kind of clean up the edges of the California roll real quick. So what I do is I line the edge of the bamboo mat to the edge of the sushi roll. And I kind of tuck those extra ingredients back into the roll and square off the edge here. And again, what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side as well. Just going to tuck those ingredients back in, square off the end of the sushi roll. And now I'm ready to cut. Using your chef's knife, you want to make sure that you start out with a clean and lubricated knife. That's why I have this bowl of water here to create the separation from the blade from the sticky rice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to dip my knife right into the water, and I'm going to let that water drip all the way down the edge there, and that will be sufficient to keeping the sushi rice away from the blade. So I'm going to cut this sushi roll into half. And I'm going to cut these halves into halves and the quarters into halves, and that will give me 8 even pieces for the sushi roll. Again, before each cut, you always want to start out with a clean and lubricated knife. That will ensure that it's easier to cut the sushi roll, and your cuts are also a lot cleaner as well. Okay, after I've made the 8 even pieces, I'm just going to take the bamboo mat and gently lay it over the top of the sushi roll again. And I'm just going to press and straighten out the roll, because once you cut the roll, it kind of, each piece kind of gets misplaced. So lining up the bamboo mat over the top will just kind of straighten out the roll once again. So after you have the roll straightened out, it's time to plate the sushi roll. Now there are many different ways to plate a sushi roll. I'm just going to show you one basic idea, but this really comes down to personal preference here. The main idea is to be able to distinguish each piece of the sushi roll and each ingredient inside of each piece of the roll. So I'm going to take the roll, I'm going to separate the pieces, just kind of offset them from one another. Place this on the plate. And again, I'm just going to offset these pieces here, and that'll give me the effect that I want. Okay, so as you can see, I've completely made, cut, and plated the sushi roll. And if you're to look, you can see each individual piece of the sushi roll, and you can see each ingredient inside of each piece. So you can tell we have the cucumber, the avocado, and the crab meat. And it's and with the sushi, every single piece of the sushi roll should look and taste just like the piece next to it. So you want pretty uniform pieces. You want to make sure that you get an even distribution of ingredients inside the roll as well.